Hey guys, Bearded Brothers for Christ. Got your tip of the day coming at you. Stay tuned. I'm going to tell you what to look for when you're choosing your tent site. Hey guys, I got your tip of the day. Where you set up your campsite is can be very important. Okay, so first one, I want to look for avoid low-lying areas. Okay, so if you're in a low-lying area, first of all, that's where the cool air is going to kind of accumulate, is in that low-lying area. Secondly, rainstorm. I think enough said. If you're in a low-lying area, rainstorm comes in, now you're sleeping in a swimming pool. Look for soft, porous ground. That's going to help in a couple of different ways. One, you're going to be able to get your tent stakes in the ground easier. And two is that same rainstorm, it's that soft, porous ground that's going to give that water someplace to go. So again, if you're on super hard, maybe even on stone or anything like that, if you're flat, the water is going to accumulate underneath your tent. If you're on the slope, it's going to run underneath, which you'll probably get no matter where your tent is at, depending on how good of a rainstorm it is. Established sites. So this is kind of a gray area, at least as far as I'm concerned. It really comes down to a judgment call on you, because I am more along the lines of a leave no trace, type of a hiker. That if you come along and you're looking for a place to camp and you find a place that, that has definitely been a campsite in the past, if it's you, that's when you have to make your judgment call and say, okay, if I use this site, is there a possibility that I'm going to push this site over the edge of being naturally reclaimed? And that's kind of the factor that I use that. And if a day from when I leave, another hiker comes in, are they going to be able to tell that I was there a day ago? A lot of things are going to play into that. What the site looks like. Is it grassy? Is it more sandy and rocky? That kind of thing. A sandy, rocky type of landscape, that's going to be able to be used more than, say, a small grassy meadow next to a lake or something along those lines. So it really just boils down to a judgment call on your part. And so if you get to that established site, then and you say, no, I'm thinking this is pretty grassy and this grass isn't looking too healthy, and if I set up camp here, there's a possibility that it will not be able to recover, then you probably want to move down to a new site or find someplace else. Again, totally up to you. I am by no means an expert whatsoever. This is all just my opinions, giving my input, and take it, leave it, do whatever you will with it. Another thing, water. Speaking of lakes and streams and all that stuff, make sure that you check at the trailhead, or even before you get to the trailhead, what the specific trails rules are when it comes to water. I know a lot of trails have different rules and regulations when it comes to camping by water, things like that. The one that we're going to be on here in a couple of weeks is at least 200 feet from standing water or lakes, and no closer than 100 feet from running water, so your streams, creeks, all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure that each trail is going to have something a little different, but I think the general rule of thumb is 200 feet. And that can play into your choice in sites as well. You can find natural windbreaks if wind is potentially going to be an issue. I know where we're going to be going, it can be. We got some pretty good storms when we were up there last year. Hiked through some hail and got rained on, and the wind got pretty gnarly there for a little while, but it wasn't like super bad or anything to be really concerned about. But if it is where you're going to be at, then you just find these natural windbreaks, say trees or rocks, maybe on the, if you know the general direction that the wind comes out of, average all the time, you can find a hillside or something along those lines to kind of put you between you and the wind. I don't know, there's lots of different things that you can do. Generally wind is not a big issue for hikers, whatever, so there's that. Probably one of the biggest things that you're going to want to check for is overhead hazards. So where we were camping last year, there were quite a few trees right there in camp, but there was right in camp there was no real, like what they call widowmakers. Around camp there was quite a few widowmakers out there, which is a good thing in the sense that you're not on shortage of firewood. But in the sense of camping and that kind of stuff, you probably don't want to put your tent up within striking distance of one of those widowmakers, because even a small tree falling on your tent can absolutely wreck your hike. Even if you come out unscathed, your tent's destroyed, gone, what have you. So those are those are my suggestions for choosing where you're going to set your tent up. If granted, you have to take whatever you have at the time when you're choosing your sites. You may not be able to pick and choose each one of those things and say, okay, yes, I have filled every single one of those. Or your list might be more extensive than what mine is. I don't know. But the main thing is, of all of those things, all of those things can make it annoying and make it less pleasant You know, if all of a sudden your tent is floating in a pool of water, or if, you know, the wind comes up and your tent starts flopping from side to side. I mean, it's going to make things a lot more unpleasant, but it's not a safety hazard. So of all those things, the biggest one is the overhead hazards. Always, 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 when you set your tent up, even if it's the most perfect spot, you have your tent set up, go out there, look above your tent, see what's up there. Is there a dead limb up in that tree that if the wind came up just right, that it could blow that limb out and drop it on your head? Because that's the stuff that can not only ruin your hike, but it could end your hike and potentially end your hiking period. So, I know I'm going to get more into this when we're actually on the hike. We'll kind of go over this so you can actually see what what I'm talking about, and we'll get Steven in on this. So plan on some pretty cool videos and some other cool content coming out from both Bearded Brothers for Christ and The Way Outside. If you haven't been over there, check his site out, check it out. He's got some good stuff. So until then, always remember, I love you. God loves you. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down. Let us know what you didn't like. Subscribe. Hit that little bell next to the subscribe button. That'll let you know that when we get new content put out. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, guys. Peace.